quiet expanses of Cisco Grove beneath the towering pines and the starlit sky. A story of otherworldly encounter lurks, waiting to unfold. This is the tale of Don Shrum, a man whose ordinary hunting expedition spiraled into an extraordinary saga of survival and mystery. One fateful night in 1964, a year marked by space races and Cold War tensions, Don's pursuit of game led him into an unexpected confrontation. As twilight descended upon the forest, what began as a routine hunt transformed into a surreal confrontation with the unknown. Amidst the stillness of the night, Don encountered more than just the shadows of the woods. He came face to face with a presence both enigmatic and unnerving. Lights danced in the dark, defying explanation, and figures, not of this world, emerged, setting the stage for a night that would challenge the very fabric of Don's reality. As you tune in to this episode of Deceptive Reality, brace yourself for a journey into the heart of the unknown.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Deceptive Reality Podcast. My name is Nick, and with me, as always, is the Pippin Bert.
Pippin ain't easy, man. Pippin is not easy, Nick.
Awesome reaction. It's almost like we planned that, but we didn't.
We did not actually plan that. I never know what the word is until we get here.
That's right. It wouldn't be fun that way. They're always complimentary, though.
You know, here's the thing, though. Mm-hmm. For anyone that's watching, and listen, there's a whole bunch of you that's brand new. You probably don't understand our format yet. So the way that it works is Nick and I, every single week, one of us has a topic. The other one doesn't know what the topic is until we get in here. So in addition to that, I never know what the word is. So it's kind of unfair. Every single episode, I don't know what the word is. Nick only doesn't know what our episode is half the time.
Yep, that's right. It's
man.
a valuable lesson, though. Life isn't fair, and neither am I.
That is true. And listen, for anyone on the YouTube channel, you guys, you might be able to see this. I'm not sure. Next to my alien is one of my McDonald's toys, and it's staring at the UFO face.
So I saw that McNugget guy. Who is that?
I don't know.
He's like some kind of.
Actually.
I thought he was Scrooge because you got that a while back there, but I don't know.
It was the very first one I ever got. I've got 5 of them. Get this. I got 5 different meals, and all 5 of them had a different guy in it.
That's supernaturally lucky.
I'm only missing one, and I'm pretty sure if they're still out, if I went to go get one meal, that's the one I would get. And the crazy part is the one that I did not get, my father-in-law got it and gave it to my daughter.
Oh, so you can, sneak in the middle of the night and take it.
Wait till she's asleep. But Pippin.
Yeah, Pippin.
Man, I don't know what Pippin is. What is Pippin in this context, Nick?
Well, you might think that he's a hobbit, but Pippin is someone who's reliable and admirable. Sort of like Pippin, I guess, in the end.
I mean,
anyway.
listen, not everyone is descriptive of me, but listen, it works. The new people don't know yet.
Oh, no, you're reliable. You're like a clock. I can count on you.
Do you know why? I'm OCD, Nick. That's why.
I know a few people who are, and like some who are even medicated for it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, considering I feel like I am too, I don't see a problem with it.
The way I look at it is you know what I'm going to do because I'm very routine. I do the same thing over and over again in the same order. If I don't do it, I freak out a little bit.
I have you been diagnosed as that, or is this like sort of a self-diagnosis thing?
Oh, it's 100% self-diagnosis. But if you read the description of an OCD person, that's mostly me.
At work, they tell me I am because I have this little ritual that I have to do, or a series of little things that I have to do to make the day go properly. One is we've got 2 doors. We've got one on the side, one on the front. You must always enter through the side door and exit through the front door. Otherwise, bad luck, right? So that's 100%. Not OCD. That's just controlling fate.
Correct.
Now, if I go to the bathroom or to the kitchen or something, when I come back, I've got to tap the lid of each of the garbage cans because we have recycling here. And then I've got to tap with the same hand back of every cubicle as I go. But again, not OCD. That's just controlling luck. And I'll tell you, we all love our jobs because I'm keeping bad luck away.
It's valid. Listen, hey, you cannot fight the logic.
Yeah, I always tell people, I say, okay, you think it's OCD? You tell me to, and I'll stop tomorrow and we'll see what kind of day we have. And they're like, well, no, just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Just
Listen,
in case.
you can't tempt fate. You cannot tempt fate.
Exactly.
Fate is one of those things where you gotta keep it moving. You gotta, if things are working in the right direction, you gotta keep it moving in the right direction. Oh, yeah. I just found my glasses. I was wondering where those went. I was looking for them today. I just found them. Look at that.
That was the good luck from tapping things that did that.
It was. Listen, Nick, you need to tap more stuff.
I know, right?
You know how often I lose things? It's crazy.
I think I was telling you earlier, I wanted to find my iron the other day. And how would you lose an iron in a 2-bedroom apartment? I can't find where that thing is at all. I've got no idea.
I would be devastated if I lost our iron because I iron every day. Except for,
do you?
Except for Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, I don't work on those days.
See, I don't use it for anything useful like that. I use it only for one purpose, and that is to iron patches on my vest that I wear in the summertime because I'm a real badass rocker.
I want to do that. I want to get a jacket.
I wish.
I have a couple patches. I want to put them on there.
You should. It's a fun thing to collect. Every concert I go to, I get a patch. My latest one is from Megadeth, and it's a great big one.
Oh, that's cool.
The back. Oh, yeah.
You can start your own biker gang.
I could, but bikes are expensive, man.
And Nick's like, I'll just get the patches.
Yeah, I'll just get the patches. The only bad thing about it is I was I can't remember where I was at, but this old lady comes up to me, clearly a church lady, and she sees my back patch and she taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around and I'm like, oh, hello. And she's like, you like Megadeth? And I'm like, yeah, I love Megadeth. And she's like, well, I like Mega Life. And she's like, think about that. And then she walked away and I was like, what? Is that a church thing, Bert? Is that something?
Listen, maybe it depends on the age demographic. I think she may have been in that demographic where she goes to a slightly different church than I've been known to go to. Nick.
Oh, well, that could be too. I just assumed it was some kind of church thing, like the Lord is Mega Life.
If we're being a buck,
I don't know.
If we're being a buck, sometimes, like I'm in the church, but you know, sometimes I drift. I've been known to drift a little bit. Like I pay attention, but like sometimes I sit there and I go, man, this section right here needs a little flavor. Like I put a little flavor on my stuff, Nick, just a little flavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got to put a little showmanship into this because those stories are fun. They're
fun. They need Bert flavor.
You know? They do.
Sprinkle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they need some pipulation.
I gotta say, I probably shouldn't say this. I'm gonna say it anyhow, but I shouldn't. Okay. So we went to a Christmas service at the church that I typically used to go to. And I'm super excited because if we're being a buck, I've not went as much as what I'd like to go.
Right. Because you're backsliding is what it's called.
I'm a doggone
sinner. I'm luring you to the devil.
Listen, the way I see it, is the unnamed man, which we're not going to name because we're not having this video go bad. But
that's right.
You know, he sat with all the sinners, Nick. I'm just trying to get him to sit with me for a little bit. You know, just for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So anyway, sorry to interrupt. You're not backsliding. I'm just kidding.
But there was one part at the service at the very beginning I got super excited about because it came on like a movie trailer. I'm like, yes, this is what Bert likes.
Yeah, see, that's how they'd get me in there.
Well, and then it stopped, and then it just went on to other stuff. And I'm like, man. And then I was super disappointed. I'm like, man, we should have ended on that or something. Like, don't put all that flavor in the beginning, and then I taste, and I'm like, oh, there's aftertaste. You know what I'm saying?
Like bait and switch.
That's right. It's still bait and switch, Nick. They got me.
Yeah. You got to have the follow through to go through it. Like if I went to the movies and they played these really awesome coming attractions, and then they turned it off and told me to go home, I'd be like, no, that's not it.
Well, and the other thing is they have a weekend for Christmas music, but the Christmas services, they don't like, they do like a Christmas song and the rest is like I'm like, it's Christmas music until Christmas is over. I don't care if it's,
Right.
the church Christmas music, but let me have some Christmas music.
Yeah, it's a fun time of year. Let's have some fun.
Exactly. I got my kids here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to turn them heathens' lives around. I, on the other hand,
you got to get them while they're young.
Got to get them while they're young. Listen, you got to indoctrinate them.
That's right. That's right. If you don't take them there often enough, other people will get them. They'll
exactly
show them fireworks and handguns and
music videos, Nick, and doggone demon music.
Music videos and
exactly.
Young dating and
exactly.
What's some other bad stuff?
Everything.
Eating too much sugar and
going to bed after 9 o'clock.
Late. Yeah.
It's crazy talk.
Kind of thing. That kind of thing. Bringing home animals and hiding them from their parents and keeping raccoons in their closets.
Exactly.
That was oddly specific.
Listen, hey, I was just going to let you roll with it, Nick. Listen, I don't know what you got going on in your life, what opportunities and things you've had going on. Listen, I don't. Speaking of demons, there's going to be some ticked off people. Listen, an episode or two ago, I said we was going to do, or it was actually the last episode. I said, we're going to do the same thing we did on my podcast a week ago, but it's so doggone depressing. I changed it up, Nick. I changed it up. Okay. Listen, I'm sorry.
Who wants to be depressed?
Yep. There's going to be someone looking for that title, though. They're going to be looking for that title. They're going to be like, man, Bert did it on his. Now I get to see Nick's reaction. Then, 2 months from now, they're going to be like, where is this video at? I'm sorry. Listen, I apologize.
Is it gone for good, or maybe we'll do it later? Or
we'll do it later. I just need to get that depression out of my system for a minute.
Yeah. We got the whole year to be depressed.
The entire year. I don't want to do it right at the beginning. This story is a fun one.
Oh, I like these. I like fun ones.
It is definitely a fun one. And I'm super excited because I let Jess listen to the intro.
Oh.
And I said, what do you think of this? And she goes, wow. When she says, wow, that's a good sign that Nick might like this.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm excited anyway.
Ooh, do you want to hear the intro to see if you know what it is, Nick?
Nah. Yeah, of course I do. Yes. Of course. What crazy question.
Let's get this intro going. Let's see what you think of this, Nick. Let's go. Right.
Hey guys, looks like we're in for a great weekend, huh?
Don.
You're late, Don.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, the weather's perfect. Ready to hunt?
We were about to start without you.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Got everything you need?
And yes, all set here. You know I never forget my trusty bow.
That's the spirit. Let's set up camp. There's a clearing not too far from here.
We've got a new spot in mind this year. A bit deeper in, but I've heard it's a prime location.
Sounds like an adventure. Let's make the most of it. After all, it's not every day we get to escape the city.
In the dense, shadowy forests of Cisco Grove, California, where the whispers of nature blend with the mysteries of the unexplained, a bow hunter named Don Shrum finds himself thrust into an extraordinary and terrifying encounter that would challenge the boundaries of reality. It was September 1964, a year when the world was grappling with the Cold War and the space race. But for Don, the only race that weekend was the pursuit of game in the wilderness. Little did he know he was about to become the hunted. Don will face a series of eerie and inexplicable encounters that would test the limits of his courage and sanity. Beings not of this world, with technology beyond our understanding, were about to make their presence felt. The forest, a place of natural beauty and simple earthly dangers, transformed into an arena of otherworldly terror. Don Shrum, the hunter, found himself in a surreal game of survival, not against the creatures of the earth, but against visitors from beyond the stars. Tonight, on Deceptive Reality, we delve into the chilling account of Don Shrum's encounter in Cisco Grove.
That is exciting. That was like an opening of a movie.
That's the whole point, Nick. We're moving up in the world. Listen.
Oh, yeah. And I like where it's heading. I only have a name and a general outline so far, but I'm excited. This sounds like just the kind of story that I like.
Well, most people know this as the Cisco Grove incident.
Okay. I don't think I'm familiar with that.
Or some call it the Cisco Grove encounter.
Okay. I was originally thinking it was that fire in the sky, but I guess not.
Yeah, this one is a crazy one. This might listen. I heard about this story probably 10 years ago, maybe 10ish, and then I forgot about it. If we're being $1.50, and then I was watching. I don't know if you've. I think I told you about this channel. It's called the Y-Files.
Mm-hmm. You have, yep.
The guy that was on that channel, he did some TV show before. I can't remember what show he did. Anyway, he did a TV show. He's got a YouTube channel now called the Y-Files. And he did an episode on this. And when I saw the video name, it didn't click for me. And then I started watching. I go, this is the Don Shrum story. And then as we went on in the story, I'm like, I didn't actually know that. So he told me some things. So then I'm like, man, if Nick doesn't know this story, this would be a great story. It would be a lot of fun. So I started doing research and I found some stuff that wasn't covered on the Y-Files also. So we'll cover some of that here also.
So I'm getting an exclusive of this. Really?
You're definitely going to get some stuff that we didn't have or that I've not seen. I'm sure probably some people's covered some of these different things, but yeah, it was super interesting. This one is going to probably be pretty universal. It's about one thing. I don't think we're going to come to a concept that there's 2 or 3 different things it could be. I think we're both going to easily land on one thing based on the fact that it's pretty much right from the get-go one thing. Also, the intros, when we go from me and you talking into whatever the intro is, I always put a sound effect for a transition that has to do with what we're talking about.
Now, before they used to be pretty standard. We were using the whoosh kind of thing. Whoosh. So I kind of missed my cue on this one. I didn't realize that sound was the transition, but no one would have known that if I hadn't said it.
A lot of people don't know the technical side, but that's fine. What that is called is a transitional sound, and it's typically used when you swap from one. For anyone that doesn't know, it's supposed to subconsciously catch your attention when you're starting or ending something.
Right.
Nerd talk, but I use transitions whenever we flip from one thing to another, typically, with the exception of our shorts, which I may do that with time, but right now I'm still kind of playing around with some of those concepts. I'm adding a little seasoning right now, trying to find our blend.
To that too. You're adding all the things that you've been denied in other places.
Correct.
Yeah, which is really true for a lot of things. Like a lot of times we see stuff and we're like, we like that, but it could be better.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we get to a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, some of you may have noticed that we had to fire our previous narrator and replace him with a new fella. It was quite a scandal. He got caught with his pants down on Hollywood Boulevard, and we had to fire him so the scandal didn't. No, that's all a lie.
Yeah. So Don has officially been retired. We've moved on to, I think his name's Lawrence. But we've made some little moves here and there. Lawrence should be speaking a little bit more like we talk, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know who the actor it is?
Well, I made one guess earlier, but is it also Lawrence Fishburne?
I think that is what it is.
Yeah, that was my second guess.
That's what I think it is.
Say it before.
I was telling Nick before we jumped in here, I'm like, man, he sounds like an actor. And I bet that's why they call him Lawrence.
I bet it is too. I never made that connection.
I didn't make
Otherwise,
it till
makes
we
my
just now
first
start
guess
talking about
kind of
it.
dumb. So,
Well, either way.
but back on the story. So, is this a famous story? Like, should I have heard about this?
It is in circles. Is the way that, like, when it was brought to, you know what? Now since I think about it, I think I heard about it before 10 years ago. Let me see. I started in the auto. So the one I can tell you when I heard about it. I heard about it in 2000 and the end of 2000 is when I would have heard about it, because I was working for some place and there was a guy. I can't remember his name. He, let's put it this way. If he watches this, I love you.
But there's always a but.
But he was all about conspiracy theories. And he kind of reminds me of the guy you was talking about at your work that one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this guy came in one day and he's like, hey, do you have a cassette player at home? Now, back then, it was not uncommon to have cassette players. In fact, I had one in my car and I'm like, of course I do. Yeah. He goes, I'm going to bring
coming
you
back, by the way.
Cassette tapes?
Oh, yes, sir. They are coming back just like vinyl did.
I find that odd.
I am glad. I don't have anything to play a cassette, but I loved getting a cassette, taking out that little insert with all the lyrics on it and all the special stuff. You can make a little display of it. I like it. But yeah, a lot of bands are bringing them back, like releasing things on cassettes.
I'm trying to think of why they would do that, because the sound quality is just okay. Like with vinyl, if you have a great record player, vinyl sounds the best, right? Because that is the mastered copy direct from the studio. No, I mean, it has alterations, but it's not like it's solid. Versus
it's the closest reproduction you can get of the original.
Yes. Because like if you're listening to an MP3 and you're like, man, this sounds so good, listen to vinyl with a good vinyl record player. If you do that, night and day. If you put the same headphones on, you put MP3, then you put it on for record, you go vinyl all the way.
Now let me tell you this, that the same people who have started producing things on vinyl again are the same people who are producing things on cassettes.
Oh.
And I think it's that strong nostalgia that people get from like the 80s and other times and stuff like that.
Yeah, because cassettes is weird. I don't know why anyone would.
Don't you miss them just a little?
No.
Like
vinyl?
I like them.
Like I listen to vinyl because I love how good vinyl sounds. And when it makes that little crackle noise, that's nostalgia kicking in. So I understand that part, but it sounds so clean. MP3 is going to sound cleaner than a cassette player because the cassette is just so degraded. You know what I mean? So it's like for a nostalgia thing, maybe I get it, but like I could live without vinyl or without cassette. Vinyl I couldn't.
Oh yeah.
MP3 I couldn't. It'd be like if someone said, "Hey, do you want to bring back UHF or UHS? What is it?
VHF?
VHF.
VHS.
Video.
Like the video
VHF.
cassette.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went through every letter. Back in the day, everything was letters, folks.
Like VCR tapes, right?
VCR tapes, yes. Like if someone's like, do you want to bring them back? I'd be like, no.
See, now we're on direct opposition.
Nick's like,
furthest. This is the furthest I have ever been on the opposite side from you. And I'll tell you why.
Okay, I want to hear this.
I am a horror movie fanatic. And horror movies on VHS on an old TV is the definitive way to watch them.
But that's the TV. It's not the VHS.
Oh, it's the cassette too. It's the cassette too, because it's got these little wrinkles that show up from time to time. The quality's not great. It hides the little things that they wanted to be hidden from you.
You're probably not wrong.
Yeah, so
I get
cassettes, collector's item. I'd get maybe one from my favorite band, and that would be it. And I wouldn't even get something to play it with. VHS can come back any day of the week.
You know,
fact,
I should know these.
My friend collects horror movies on
really?
VHS cassettes, and he has an old TV with a VCR, and we gather in this little room with all kinds of, old posters and stuff in it, and we watch VHS horror movies on it, and that is the best time.
I will say there's obviously always the nostalgia of anything, right? Like when we talk about okay, so I was doing those trading cards there for a while, which I'm going to get back into once there's more of a market. There's not really a market for it right now, but I was opening a little bit of everything back when I was doing it. And my prized possession of all of them so far was I found a guy that was selling the 1989 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle animated trader cards.
Oh, yeah.
And they're
That's
so
where it's
sick.
at.
I have a box of unopened ones. I've got like 30 unopened packs.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to sneak in your house and open them all.
And it's like the old wax. You know what I mean? Like the Topps cards and stuff with the old wax, and you pop them
How
up.
can you resist it?
Man, it's
How
so
can
hard.
you resist that?
You know what else I've got?
What?
Remember how Nintendo used to have those scratch-off cards?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I've got
are
those
the ones
too.
in the chips, or is that separate?
These were trading cards. Nintendo had a stack of 5 trading cards in the wax, and you would scratch the little thing. Like it would have Punch Out, and then there'd be like 10 different things you could scratch off, and one would be like Knockout, or it'd be like you got knocked out or something like that.
That's so cool. I haven't seen them, but it reminded me back when they used to put instant win things in chip bags. There was a Nintendo one where you could scratch off something and you might win something there.
I do remember those. Yeah. It's been a while for those, but yeah, you're right. I remember having those also. Do you remember, what was it called? The Nintendo Power magazine, there was what was that character's name? Nestor, I think it was Nestor, but he always had the ads where he's scratching off the Nintendo cards, and like there was a Zelda one. I think there was a Contra one, Double Dragon one. So I'm like,
Dragon.
as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I gotta have this. So I bought literally the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The reason why I have not opened the packs yet is because there's certain cards that if you get them graded, and they're like a graded 10, like one of them is the Shredder card.
Okay.
So the one that's just Shredder by himself, that card was selling for $800 as a PSA 10. I've got 30
Shredder
packs.
You gotta have them in there.
I guarantee there's a Shredder in there somewhere. Now the question is, where does it fall? PSA 8, PSA 9, PSA 10, and the cards themselves look like the packs they look like they came out of the store.
Oh man, imagine that one case of them is like a factory mistake and no one ever opened it, and they're all that Shredder.
Wouldn't that be crazy? I watched a YouTube video. This was a couple of weeks ago. It might have been a month ago. And this guy went to this trade, like one of them trade shows, where they go and they sell all the stuff. And he was searching for a first generation Pokemon card. And he found a guy that had a first generation Pokemon pack.
Oh.
And the guy wanted I forget what it was. It was like $7,000 or something like that. And they said the only way that this will work and be profitable is if you have, and there was like 5 different cards that he would have had that he would have at least made his money back.
I think I know where this is going.
He was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this. So they agree on the price. He buys it. And on camera, he's like, we're going to open these and we're going to see if we're a winner. And he cracks it open. He does the sort thing, whatever that card thing is. And then he starts with the not so good ones. And when he gets to the last one, he's like, we either made money or we lost money. And he pulls it and it's like the most expensive one you could get. And the guy that had the pack wanted to die. He was like, I've been sitting on that for years. And it's like, I think the guy made like $7,000 instantly just by pulling that card.
That's wild. That is
which
wild.
is crazy. But I'm sitting on at least a few shredders, so I would assume.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got some money back there. You got to open them, man. You got to open them.
Man, they're so good too. The packs, they were red, yellow, And I think there was another color too, but like they're all different. And like, I think like the Michelangelo card, if you get like a PSA 10 is like $400 or $500 by itself. Ooh. Like there could be literally thousands of dollars in there. But what I was thinking is this, if I never open the packs and if we go another 30 years, what could those packs be worth? Maybe nothing.
It wouldn't matter to me. They'd be open, but now I can't.
Listen, sometimes Nick just has to pop them open.
I can't. I'm not that kind of collector.
Oh, before I forget, I'm totally going to forget too. The cassette, I'm going to forget why I went to that. There was a guy that I used to work with that he told me, he's like, dude, I'm going to bring in some tapes for you to listen to. And I'm like, okay. So he brought me these tapes in and I'm starting to listen to them when I get home. And I'm like, I have no clue what they're talking about. I listened to an entire cassette tape and then I basically put him aside. I'm like, I have no clue what these people's even talking about. So
Is
like
it
the next day,
supernatural stuff, or
here's the thing. One of them was around like this kind of case. It wasn't this case, but cases like this.
Right.
I don't know if you figured out what this is, so I'm trying to be vague.
Not yet.
Perfect. So he gave me all these cassettes and he came in the next day. He's like, you listen to any of them tapes? I'm like, I listened to one. He's like, oh yeah. Wait till you get to the rest. There was like 10 tapes.
Is this guy wearing a trench coat?
Well, I couldn't. He probably should have. Yeah. It reminded me of Jurassic Park when the guy was bringing in the vials with the hidden DNA stuff in it. That's what it reminded me of. But he's like, there was like 10 of them. And I'm like, I can't just give them to him the next day because he's going to be like, dude, these are an hour per side. That's 2 hours times 10. You know, there's no way. So I waited a few days and he's like, did you listen anymore? I'm like, man, I listened to 2 last night. It's crazy. That's crazy talk. So like at the end of like 2 weeks, he's like, dude, I need them cassette tapes back. I'm like, dude, I'm going to bring them back to you tomorrow. So I brought them back. Only listened to one. But
does he listen to the podcast?
I don't know. I haven't talked to this guy since 2000. It was to the end of 2000.
Okay. This is a long time ago then.
Long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like in his armchair net in like a week from now. And he's like, that's son of a.
But the reason I was talking about these cassette tapes, it had apparently things like this. And he brought up Cisco Grove. It was not part of the tapes, but it was apparently in conjunction with one of the stories that's on that tape. There was a conspiracy theory. So I'm like, that's crazy. So now coming around full circle. So when the Y-Files did it, I'm like, okay, I know the story. I vaguely remember him talking about it. So I guess it's been 20 years since I first heard the story.
Wow.
So it's an older story, obviously.
And it's like talking about curiosity killing me. I like wonder what are on the rest of those tapes, where he got these tapes from. Like
he taped it from the radio.
Story. Oh, okay.
This was a radio show.
Top secret stuff. Oh, okay.
No, he recorded this from an AM radio station.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like, oh, he got them from the government and he's like, I need those tapes back. They're after me.
Dang it. I should have said that, Nick. I screwed up.
Yeah. I wouldn't have known any different. You could have told me that.
Would have made for a great story.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Well, do you want to know what this story is about? This next segment, you're going to know at the end of the next segment.
I sure do. And I ain't going to say any more, but this little chat we've just had. I know what we're talking about next week.
Oh, snap.
That's all I'll say about that. Yeah.
Oh, Nick's already prepared it, unless he changed his mind like I did on mine.
I might have changed my mind.
Let's go.
Our story unfolds on a crisp September morning in 1964. The air in Cisco Grove, a secluded nook in the Sierra Nevada mountains, was not just fresh, but alive with the whispers of the wilderness. The scent of pine mingled with the earthy dampness of the forest floor, creating an atmosphere of serene isolation. Don Shrum, a bow hunter not just by hobby, but by passion, reveled in the embrace of the wild. With him were two friends, Vincent Alvarez and Tim T.R. Blood. Each man carried not just his gear, but a shared anticipation for the weekend's escapade into the untamed. Unbeknownst to them, the shadows of the forest were poised to unveil a narrative far removed from any hunter's tale. As they ventured deeper, the forest's embrace grew tighter, the cacophony of civilization replaced by a symphony of nature leaves rustling like ancient whispers, animal calls echoing as cryptic messages. Don, with the keen focus of an experienced hunter, remained vigilant, his bow an extension of his intent. The sun's rays, filtered through the canopy, played a dance of light and shadow, an arboreal ballet. The decision to split up as evening approached seemed routine. A rendezvous point was set, a common hunter's pact. Don, now alone, melded with the forest's rhythm, every sense sharpened. Yet, as daylight waned, an unease crept upon him. The woods, once a haven, now whispered secrets in the language of shadows. Dusk brought with it an anomaly, a pulsating light, a beacon of the unknown, weaving through the trees. It was neither the warm glow of a campfire nor the steady beam of a flashlight, its hues and intensity a fluid dance. Don, part curious, part apprehensive, watched this spectral ballet. The forest, his sanctuary, had transformed into a stage for the unexplained. In this moment, under the canopy of twilight, Don stood at the threshold of the extraordinary. The hunt had taken a turn, veering into realms not marked on any map, and as the light continued its enigmatic dance, Don was unwittingly stepping into a night that would forever alter his grasp on reality.
It gives me the shivers sometimes listening to these parts here. I almost looked up at one point.
What's going on up there?
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, I'm glad I caught myself. I'd feel real dumb if you saw me do that.
Well, and that's the thing. These stories are great. You know, and I was talking to someone the other day about our podcast, and it's like, if you go back and you listen to the very first episode, and I love the very first episode, I think that I've loved everything that I did the first time just because of where we got to.
Right.
It's
history,
always
man.
Amazing. It really is. You know, years from now, we're going to look back on that first episode, and it was, I mean, we talked as long as we could, and all we could get was 45 minutes.
Yeah. I was nervous as all get out anyway. I had stage fright, even though there's no stage. But
well, listen, it happens to all of us, though. I mean, you know, it's a crazy, no one probably can appreciate this if you're watching it, but it's like, this came out of a labor of love, and it came down from people that said, you guys should record this.
Oh, yeah.
And that first episode was literally us just testing the ground. And that was after 2 years of prepping it.
Right.
So to come to where we are, there was no sound effects. We didn't even have a swoosh on the first episode.
No, not even a swoosh, not a single solitary
No
swoosh.
Yeah. When we was listening to these, it was literally just us talking and very basic elements. Then we moved to a swoosh between each transition. So Nick and I uses the swoosh so we know when to start talking, because when we build the story, one person is listening to it for the first time. So we put swooshes in there so we knew. Now, when it's my story, I build the entire soundscape. So Nick's hearing it just like you are for the first time.
Yeah, that's why I get these like pretty crazy reactions to them sometimes, because it's like, this is the first time I'm hearing it. All kinds of different things are running through my head. I have to hold on to them until it's done. Sometimes it's difficult.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I love how cinematic these are. Like, I'm picturing this now. I was out in those woods with that guy, and I can imagine seeing this thing.
Yeah,
was he separated from the other guys at that point, or were they in sort of groups?
Yeah, so what happened is all three went into the forest. What typically will happen for hunters is they'll typically separate out, because there's less chance that you're going to run into an issue.
Right.
And in addition to that, because these are all bow hunters, they're not hunting via, gun. Like if you go duck hunting, typically everyone's together. If you go anywhere with a gun, pheasant hunting, you're grouped together. But when you're bow hunting, to increase the odds of people getting stuff, you split up and you find your own spots. And that's what happens. So they all go into this forest, all three of them.
Okay.
And when they go, there's typically a spot, they all split up. And as nighttime comes, they rendezvous on a certain point. So that's what happened. He's out, he's hunted. More than likely, this was the first day of their hunt. They were probably out scouting, and sometimes you hit it lucky if you go out and you scout. And you can get something, but it's not like when you're bow hunting for deer, like that's not common.
No,
you're not typically that lucky.
You're just getting the lay of the land and that kind of thing there.
Yes,
I think for deer, they have to sit and wait a lot of the times too.
Yes, it's a waiting game because typically you got to go and you scout where they're bedding, where they're eating, where they're finding water, and then you find a spot that's central so that you can increase your odds. So the beginning narrative was I like to test the ground, give the basics of the story, and see what Nick knows. And typically the very second scene sets up the beginning of the story. So that's what that was. It was literally the three of them walk in, he splits up. As he's heading back to the rendezvous point, he sees this bright light. And at first he was like, what is that? He couldn't figure out what it was. But he's kind of hunkered down now, right? Like he's looking up and he goes, this isn't normal. So it's not a campfire. It's not a flashlight.
Right.
Like this is whatever this is.
So I'll tell you, after doing a bunch of these episodes and that kind of thing, when I'm out in a dark part of the town or like outside of town, if I see any light that I'm not expecting, I'm like, oh, like I'm ready for it to be an alien. I'm like, I get my camera out, everything. And it's just a car headlight or a satellite or something, but I'm not going to be one of those guys who gets caught unprepared.
It's funny though. It's like if we truly saw something, and that's probably one of the most annoying things when people go, why is there never any good photos or videos of anything? And it's like, dude, when you see something you've never seen, the first thing you do is you stare at it and you go, yeah, because you're like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing or am I seeing something else? And by the time you typically go, oh, that's abnormal, now you're looking and it's gone.
Right. Like, remember I told you this before, the story of that thing I saw, like that creature on the side of the road. I wasn't sure I saw it till probably 10 minutes later. Like, because it was just so abnormal.
Correct.
So I can totally empathize with everyone who's been in these situations and not got any footage. I'm just saying, because I'm experienced now and I'm paranoid, I'm not going to be that guy next time. I'm going to be the guy with a really good, high quality iPhone 13 shot on a gimbal. Like, I'm getting it.
Then I will be the opposite. I'll be the guy still staring there when it goes away going, is that a ghost? Is that a UFO? Is that Bigfoot? Is that the Mothman? What is that?
There's a third kind of guy that none of us, I hope, are. And that's the one that does make a recording, but shakes so horribly you can't tell what it is. And then they claim it's a video of something.
Yeah.
Just don't be that guy, hopefully. But I can understand their point of view too.
Luckily with Nick and I, we both have video background a little bit. So I feel like if we can get cognate enough to get a camera, we're fine.
Yeah.
So I think we're good there.
Just in case, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but there's a thing you can set up on iPhones and probably on Android too, where it knows if you double tap the back of it. So I've got my phone here, and if I double tap the back, it's recording. I've set it up to record
smooth
already. Yeah, so I'm
not
going to be taken by surprise.
See, with ours, even if we're on a lock screen, so like you see the lock, I've got a camera button in the bottom left. I just swipe up. I don't need to unlock my phone for it.
Oh, yeah, we've got that too. It's just that I'm not precise enough. I know I'm not going to be precise enough if I'm like freaked out. So I just got to tap. I'll probably be shaking anyway. So I'll just tap.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So
I would
I'm
forget
prepped.
how many taps. I'd be like, tap, 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 tap,
Oh,
tap,
you,
tap.
you just got to tap until it happens. So it doesn't matter. You can do as many as you
perfect.
want.
Oh, we're good then.
Yeah. So look into that. We don't want to be caught unawares.
That is true. Listen, we're professional. This is a professional podcast. Okay.
That's right. Now, Don, I'm sure, was not prepared and didn't get any footage.
Yeah, correct. That's why Don's no longer with us. It's his fault, really. If you think about it, it's
That's
not our
right.
fault.
That's right.
Oh man.
Is this our Don in this story?
Listen, this is our Don in the story. This is why we got rid of him, Nick.
Yeah, this is.
He
I
was
just
not
made that
prepared.
connection in the last segment. I was like, is this a good backstory for what happened to our Don?
Oh man, that's awesome. So this Don, just now I probably confused everyone. I'm sorry. So this Don, this story. Do you know this story? Do you think you know this story, or do you not know the story at all?
I don't know it at all.
Oh man, you're in for a treat, Nick. I'm so excited about
I'm
this.
excited for that.
This reminds me of when we did the story on Dorothy Eady and you didn't know who it was.
Mhm. Yeah.
I might be just as excited about this because what happens in this story is insane.
Oh, I like this kind of thing. And you know that aliens and stuff and abductions are my scariest
Yes.
things. So yeah,
Yes.
I'm hooked. I'm hooked.
Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to warn you right now.
Okay. Is it going to get scary?
This has a little bit of a sci-fi feel to it.
Mm.
There's things that happen in the story I've never seen in another UFO story, but
Okay.
it incorporates things that you and I have personally talked about on this podcast.
Okay. That's exciting. I'm into that. Is this like
Yes.
dimensions and stuff maybe? Or
Mm-mm. I mean, we could delve into that, but no.
okay.
When we get to a certain part, you're going to be like, oh, wow. In fact, we talked about it on Hopkinsville.
Oh, okay. It's owls. They're back.
It's a doggone house, Nick. Man.
Well, I am super pumped. I'm super pumped.
Well, this story is probably one of the funnest ones to tell. Now, at the end, we have to decipher whether this happened or if it didn't happen.
Okay.
But I specifically split this up in different segments. And I think we're going to have some pretty fun conversations after each segment.
Is it going to flip me back and forth? Like, I know you like to do that. Sometimes you'll like use one segment to convince me of something. And then the next segment will be like, but you've been fooled. It's not really that. And
This
then
time
you
I didn't
keep
do
going
that.
back and forth.
I didn't do it this way, Nick.
Okay.
I'm going to keep you on the same track. You don't even have to worry about that.
Okay. I don't worry about it, but I know you do that intentionally. You like to.
I do it for
you like
fun.
to. You know, like I'm a dog on a leash, and you're just like pulling it back and forth.
I like playing with emotions, Nick. Like
That's
our
right.
viewers.
That's right.
Well, now that we know it's a UFO and we know the UFO's out there, do you want to see what happens next?
Absolutely. Let me have it.
This is where it gets to the fun part of the story, and it happens relatively like fast into this thing. It comes out the gate swinging.
Oh yeah. Well, they don't want him to get away, so they gotta get him
Correct.
quick.
Correct. Let's see what happens next.
Yes, please.
The mysterious light that had captivated Don was now shrouded in the forest's enigma, its departure leaving behind an air of unresolved mystery. With a mounting sense of urgency, Don directed his steps towards the designated meeting point with his friends. Yet, under the moon's ghostly glow, the familiar trails of the forest morphed into a disorienting maze, each step taking him further into the unknown. Navigating the dense undergrowth, where ancient trees stood like silent sentinels, an uncanny stillness enveloped the woods. The vibrant nocturnal chorus that typified the forest nightscape had fallen eerily silent, as though nature itself was holding its breath, awaiting an impending revelation. In this unnatural hush, a soft, mechanical hum began to permeate the air, an auditory paradox that felt both distant and ominously near. Don paused, his senses heightened, trying to pinpoint this alien sound in the oppressive silence. Abruptly, the tranquil night was pierced by an intense light that cleaved through the treetops, descending with a deliberate, almost sentient grace. Don's pulse quickened, his instincts screaming that this was no ordinary terrestrial craft. The structure before him defied conventional understanding, its design foreign to any earthly aviation. The hum intensified, becoming a resonant thrum that seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of the forest. Driven by a primal urge for safety, Don's gaze locked onto a towering pine tree. With swift, decisive movements, he scaled the tree, ascending to a precarious vantage point among the whispering boughs. From this aerial refuge, he observed the craft halt its descent, hovering with an eerie stillness in the night sky. A moment later, the extraordinary became surreal. A section of the craft opened, revealing silhouettes that were unsettlingly humanoid yet unmistakably other. These beings, with their precise mechanical gait, began to survey the forest floor beneath Don's arboreal sanctuary. Their presence, both fascinating and foreboding, marked the beginning of an encounter that straddled the thin line between wonder and dread.
I thought I stopped that by sneeze. I thought I broke it. I know you could see it. I don't think people on YouTube are going to see it, but I was like trying everything I could do to stop this sneeze. And what happens as soon as I sneeze? The transition happens. And I'm like, oh crap, I broke it. I thought it was so loud that it messed up our levels. Okay. All right. Back on topic. Sorry. So this one, like when it comes to aliens, I get really excited. So I'm jumping to conclusions. Mm-hmm. At one point you were like, okay, and the lights left. And I'm like, oh, good. He's safe. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make much sense. That'd be a real short story.
Short story.
If that was the case. And then he's like, now I'm lost. And I was like, oh man, they abducted him and he's lost time. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's lost. And then it's like, no, they're still here. They're coming to get you. And now he's scaled the tree and he's seen humanoids coming from the craft. And
yes.
Then someone sneezed and scared them.
You gave away his position, Nick.
I gave away his position. Sorry, Don.
This is how all the horror movies start. Everything's fine until you get that one chick that sneezes. Then everyone dies.
But yeah, this is exciting because this is like, you remember how we talked in another episode, I think Hopkinsville Goblins, about the different encounters that there are. Like, this is the third kind, isn't it? Like, we don't, or fourth kind. Or I guess we don't know yet.
Wait a second. Third kind is going on the ship, correct?
I think third kind is a close encounter with actual beings. I'll look it up quickly.
You might be right on that. It's high up there. Is how I'll say it. You're high up there on this number.
Yeah. In any case, well, we'll revisit that after. But yeah, so yeah, this is exciting. We don't get a whole lot of these where they actually see
what the UFO looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we don't even see what the UFO looks like. We see lights in the sky or
correct.
Mysterious circumstances or malfunctioning of equipment or lost time, like I was saying earlier. And it's even more rare when we see the craft in good detail, and even more rare when they actually see the creatures from it. So
exactly.
I am pumped for that.
Well, on this one, so we haven't even got to the good parts of the story yet. The amazing part of this story. Oh, I mean, this is a good part, but once we get further in, you're going to be like, holy smokes. Like, how does that even happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But have you been out in like forest areas or woods as it starts to get like dark?
Oh yeah. Constantly.
So remember, it's 1960s. So if at best he had a compass and he had a flashlight. So he's trying to find his way to this rendezvous point, right? Even if you're an experienced hunter, sometimes you can get lost.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about it. You see something that you can't explain, and you're trying to navigate a woods that maybe you've been to, maybe not so many times.
Right.
And you're like, did I just pass that tree for the 9th time? Like, that looks the same. You know what I'm saying?
Plus, everything's lit differently than you would expect, too. So
Right.
that can cast interesting shadows where there might not have been before.
Correct. So he is technically kind of lost in trying to navigate where the rendezvous point is at. So he's trying to figure that out. He sees this light. Now he's starting to figure out, I don't know if he caught this in the first segment, but he says he starts as the hunter and becomes the hunted.
Ooh, that's foreshadowing right there.
Yeah, I like to add little Easter eggs through the story as I go. I can't help myself. I get anyone that listens to the first segments of anything that I ever do will typically know kind of what's going to happen in the story as we progress, because I like to sprinkle little things in. And I do that for the people that go back and watch again and they go,
right,
I see what he did right there. Those are my favorite movies, like The Sixth Sense. If you watch that again and you're like, he was dead the whole time. Are you serious right now?
Oh my God, you just spoiled it forever.
Yeah, it's only been out for like almost 25 years or something.
Some guy's like, I was just going to get around to watching that.
I just rented that off of Netflix.
On VHS. I just got a VHS copy of it.
Oh man, that's too funny. But yeah, I like to sprinkle little Easter eggs through the story as we go.
Oh, that makes it fun and increases rewatch value. So I like that.
Because I don't like people to rewatch something and not. I want you to catch something the second time that you didn't catch the first time. Right. Not saying that people just constantly rewatch our stuff, but for those that might want to go back and watch something again, they get like a little something. Oh, you, me both.
Please,
trust and believe.
Please do, guys.
Go look for some more Easter eggs. Put them in the comments.
Yeah, there's 10 per episode, and if you don't find them, I'll keep rewatching.
You keep rewatching till you find them.
Try watching it from different browsers and different computers, in fact.
Exactly. Because listen, sometimes it's different.
Sometimes.
Oh, man. But this is a fun story, Nick. You're going to like this story.
Yeah. It made me think up something, because a lot of these kind of things happen when the person's on their own. And like, I mean, we've got some cases where there's multiple people, like those 2 people in that famous story that were in the car. I can't remember their names now. Like that very first recorded abduction. I can't remember what their names were.
Oh, you're talking about, oh shoot.
It's the lady and her husband there.
Yeah. Shoot. We talk about this all the time, Nick. How do we forget their names?
We do. I don't know. It's that on the spot thing. But most of the times it's solitary people. And you know, a lot of people say, how come this only happens to people on their own? Like, you'd think just by chance multiple people would see these things, or multiple people would experience them at the same time. But even with our technology, we can fly over a forest and use infrared, and we can see where there's people and where there's not.
Right.
We could abduct people from a forest who have split up without being seen. And that's our crappy technology. Like, are we really thinking that advanced aliens who come from light years away don't know about infrared or something better?
Right, exactly. And for the record, it's Betty and Barney Hill. I looked it up.
That's what it was. Yeah.
There's 6 well-documented accounts of abduction, and that's one of them. That's technically the first one.
I don't know how I forget that, because I always think every time I hear it, that's the Rubbles next door to Fred. And the Flintstones.
Exactly. I wonder if that's where they came up with the name.
Got strong suspicion it might be. Because if you recall, they got abducted in the show as well, in an episode.
Did they?
Yeah.
That might be a little sus, Nick.
Yeah.
That might be where they came up with the names.
It might
They're
be.
paying homage?
I would assume.
Wow.
I mean,
Now I've got to go back and look for that.
Betty and Barney, I guess that was probably common names back then, so who knows?
That's a coincidence,
Yeah.
though. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that'd be quite the coincidence.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, I mean, it'd be crazy to think that extraterrestrials wouldn't have infrared or something better. Like, if we can do it now, and I mean, this is something I can go buy an attachment for my phone for about $500, and I've got infrared, and I know where people are in the forest. Like, I'm not even a military. I don't even have a spaceship. I wish I did, but I just don't even have one. So,
Yep.
I'm just some dude.
Do you ever watch that YouTube channel? What's it called? They do the film specials, Corridor Films.
No,
You ever watch them?
no, I don't think so.
They did an episode a while back, and it was talking about infrared technology, and they was talking about in the movie Predator.
Oh,
how Predator would go bloop, and it would have like the infrared.
Mm-hmm.
And they said if someone smeared mud on themselves like Arnold Schwarzenegger did, would the Predator really be able to see him?
Oh, I'm curious about that. What was the answer?
Do you want to know the answer? Or do
sure
you want
do.
to watch it?
No,
I didn't know if you wanted to watch it later.
I'll do both.
So they
you already
asked
ruined
everyone,
6 cents for me, so why stop now?
Well, they did a poll of everyone, and they said,
Mm-hmm.
who believes that this will happen? And everyone said, makes for a great story,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no way it's going to drop your body temperature to the point to where not only that, but some part of your body's going to glow. There's no way of
Right.
getting past that.
Now, when you're presenting it like that, I'm thinking the opposite now that it does work.
Well, so a guy did it. He smeared himself down with cold mud. They watered this entire area down. They took some of the best infrared equipment they had.
Mm-hmm.
They could not find him.
Oh.
Within 50 yards, they
Really?
could not find him.
Yeah, that's good storytelling because I feel like commandos would probably know that and regular folks wouldn't.
I would assume. Well, and what's funny is the way they found the guy was the dogs.
Oh, the dogs could find him.
The dogs knew where they was, knew where the guys was. So the dogs are like, "Yep, my snoot,
Yeah,
my snoot gives you away."
you can't fool the nose of a dog.
Correct. Well, and that's the thing, man. Those dogs have such powerful noses. Like I also watched a video. I don't know if you watched this video. It's on YouTube for free. It was a documentary on probably one of the best cases of a haunted house that's been shown on video. And it's called like The House Next Door or something like that. I don't know if
I
you've
think
watched
I
that.
have seen that. Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah. Did you see the part where I'm just going to ruin everything for everyone?
No, that's all right. We're on a roll. Let's do it.
We're on a roll. Listen, we're on a ruining spree. But a psychic comes to the house. Whatever you believe about psychics, you know, it is what it is. It makes for a great story anyway. But she goes outside and she goes, someone died in this backyard. And there was a very bad person inside the house. And that body's in this backyard somewhere. And then they just move on. They go about their time. Like they just dropped their info and they kept moving. And later on in the story, they're like, let's bring some cadaver dogs out and see if they can find it. I didn't know this. If a tree grows over top of a dead body and the roots end up getting in there, the bacteria that feeds on the body that causes cadaver dogs to find the body, that nutrition from that body goes into the tree and it gives off that bacteria smell for years.
Really? Wow.
Had no clue that was a thing. So this dog kept going around this section of trees. And what they concluded was, we don't know if there's a dead body, but that dog only goes to where cadavers are and does that specific movement. So the odds are that within some rooting system of these trees, you would find a dead body.
So that's wild, because I always thought, man, I don't know why people don't plant trees over top of where they buried people. I guess, I don't know if everyone knows this but me, but it would make it almost worse if you did, knowing this.
Correct. Yeah,
Like,
because a
it's
cadaver
easier to
dog
get
picks
caught.
up on that.
Yeah.
Correct. Which is kind of insane. I didn't know that
Right.
until I watched that show.
I guess what you got to do.
Because what they-
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what they was doing was they was taking this like a post hole digger and making holes, because it said when you go into the ground, you start digging holes.
Right.
It allows that bacteria to come up, because the bacteria doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
Like once it starts eating on the body, it'll eat on it until it's dead, but then it just stays there.
Like forever?
So they're-
or
I mean, they didn't say how long. I didn't research it, but
It's
long
gotta be a
time
while.
apparently.
for a tree
Yeah.
to grow.
So it was sitting there, and they was digging into the ground to try to get it to come up into the air to see if the dogs would like
Right.
spot on it, but it never would. So all the places where they put the hole, but it kept circling these like 2 or 3 trees, and they said
Right.
could be something like they only target like that if there's a cadaver somewhere. So crazy story.
That's crazy. I know what you got to do now. Is you got to buy like hundreds of stakes and bury them all in the woods everywhere. If you're hunting one, like, because that's technically like a cadaver, right? Like,
Well, it's actually a completely different scent. I didn't know that either.
oh, okay. Well, I guess there's no other plan you could do without making it way worse on yourself.
Valid.
Right.
I don't know that there's
Yeah.
an easy way around that. The only, like I watch a lot of weird stuff, but yeah, there was one guy I watched. He was a don't know how else to put it, a mob guy,
Okay. Yeah.
and he was talking freely too, like he wasn't holding anything back. And he goes, "Yeah, you know, I can tell you how to get rid of bodies and blah blah blah." He goes, "I owned a wood chipper spot for a long time."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "What did you like kill people?" And he goes, "People just comes up missing sometimes. I don't know. Don't want to tell you."
Yeah, that might be going
And-
too far for him.
That's the crazy thing. But he was like saying this on live TV, or on this YouTube thing. But what's crazy is he goes, "Yeah," he was talking because the interviewer was like, "You've been shot 3 times, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You know, I shot here," and he pointed to his chest. "I was shot here, and I was shot in my leg." And he goes, "Well, the lag one was like relatively recent." He goes, "Yeah, you know, I walked up to this car, and this guy, I had a hit on me, and he came over, and he's acting like he's trying to meet me. And when he met me, he shot me, but he screwed up." He said he got away though. He got away. Then he went missing. Don't know where he went. Couldn't tell you.
I don't think he got away.
I don't think he got away. He goes, "Yeah, someone, you know, broad daylight, shot him right in the head in his car." Like he's saying this on a YouTube channel. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, I bet he got demonetized.
I don't know. It was crazy. Like I couldn't believe they had that on a YouTube channel. But
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty wild.
because it's not like that ever goes away. Like
Right.
there's only certain lengths of time. Like murder is forever until they find out
Yeah.
who did it.
I don't think there's any statute of limitations. on
There's
it.
not for murder.
No.
And I was like, man, I need to find
Yeah.
that video. I'm going to send you that video. It's crazy.
Yeah. There was a pretty famous serial killer here in Canada who just threw bodies to the pigs. And apparently that's a very
They'll clear 'em
reliable.
up.
Yeah, that's a very reliable disposal method apparently, because he went for decades without getting caught. And like he is
There's no
prolific.
doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. Pigs will
Yeah.
eat anything.
Yeah. Nasty, but delicious.
It's nuts. They are delicious. Oh, that was another thing he talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they would dispose of bodies in pig troughs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said people would
works.
come over and be like, "Hey, whatever happened to such and such?" He goes, "I don't know." And then they keep talking. He goes, "Hey, what do you think of that bacon? That bacon good?" You go, "Yeah." He goes, "The whole entire time he was eating them." Oh my gosh, dang, savage!
That guy's kind of sick.
He's crazy. That guy was
Yeah, I guess
crazy. He's
so.
like a mob guy, some kind of
Yeah.
mob guy.
Well, one of these days, someone's gonna get him, probably.
Well, I can tell you, I wouldn't go around telling everyone what you've done.
No, I guess not. I was
Nope, not
kinda
today,
hesitant
buddy.
to say that. I was kind of hesitant to say someone's going to get him someday. That's why I added that probably. I don't want him to think I got this.
Just for the record, Nick and I do parody only, and we do unsolved mystery stuff. Though then again, if he does, was to disappear, maybe we'll do an unsolved mystery thing.
We'll find him. We'll help you, buddy. Don't worry.
Exactly. Listen, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just trust Nick and I. It's all good.
That's right. Yeah.
So speaking of our boy Don, we know he's up in a tree.
Yep.
He's making
Which is
big
a miracle,
moves.
by the way, to me.
Why? You can't climb trees?
Not when I'm scared. I totally believe he did it. I just wouldn't have had the presence of mind. Because to me, that's like, I'm in a dangerous situation. Let me put myself in a more dangerous situation.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't know if you grasp this or not. The tree that he climbed is a pine tree.
Right. So that can't be super easy.
I would assume it'd be difficult, but it also doesn't have a lot of foliage either.
No. Well, otherwise, how would he see?
Correct. And these aliens have came off this ship and they're scanning the ground.
Yeah. They're not looking for turkeys or deer.
Correct. They're looking for a slightly different type of mammal.
That's right. That's right.
Do you want to see what happens next, Nick?
Yeah, I have a good feeling that they're going to find him, but let's find out.
What? That would never happen in one of my stories, Nick.
The figures below, garbed in attire that defied earthly description and bathed in a ghostly luminescence, meticulously combed the forest floor. It was at this moment a harrowing realization dawned on Don. He was not a mere observer in this otherworldly tableau. He was the epicenter of their enigmatic mission. Understanding the peril he faced, Don took a precaution that would be pivotal for his survival through the night. Utilizing his military-style belt, he expertly fashioned a makeshift harness and secured himself to the sturdy pine tree. This act of foresight ensured that he would remain safely perched above, even if he lost consciousness or his strength waned during the ordeal. Don, seasoned in the hunt, now found himself ensnared in an unprecedented game of survival. His grip tightened around the bow, a primitive yet comforting defense against the incomprehensible entities below. As time warily trudged forward, the chill of the night permeated his bones. Yet it was not the cold that kept Don alert, but a torrent of fear and adrenaline coursing through his veins. In a startling disruption of the night's eerie calm, a new, more daunting presence emerged. From the vicinity of the mysterious craft, a figure approached its gait rigid, its form imposing. This was no living creature, but a construct of metal and unknown technology, moving with a precision that suggested advanced intelligence. Moonlight glinted off its metallic surface, casting an otherworldly glow, while a mechanical whirring haunting in its monotony accompanied its movements. Don's eyes widened as he beheld this robotic entity. It was a sight that defied his understanding of both science fiction and reality. The presence of such a figure in the heart of the forest, under the watchful eye of the moon, was a tableau so surreal it bordered on the impossible. Yet there it was, a metallic sentinel joining the search, adding an ominous new dimension to the night's unfolding mystery.
Well, I did not see that coming. This must be that sci-fi element that, well, I mean, it's all sci-fi, but
It's all kind of got a sci-fi feel to it, but
like
a very sci-fi feel.
like a battle mech came out of this, or a robot of some sort. Can you tell me
It was
more
a
about
robot.
this? Okay.
So here's what happened. So there's these alien beings, which surprisingly he doesn't talk about a whole lot. Like he doesn't talk about the way they look. Basically, it talks about how they clearly look different. But then as everything is going on, out of the space shuttle, or spaceship, I guess would be the UFO, this what he first thought it was like a cyborg. Like maybe partially alien, partially. But the way that it walked was very robotic, he said. So very precise movements. And the funny thing is back then robots were not super precise.
Right. I think even in sci-fi back then, they were not very
correct.
precise.
He talked about how this thing was precise. Like the way it walked was fast, and which I don't know if you heard in the thing. It's like that. Bzz, 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 bzz. Very precise the way it walks. But he also talks about the movements. And for him, that was super scary because he's like, that is relatively abnormal.
Yeah.
So it's one thing.
Well, this whole situation is really abnormal.
Yeah. So it's one thing to see aliens. It's another thing to see whatever this sentient being is.
Right. Well, even hearing so many stories and then hearing this robot come out, I'm like, what?
Yes. Now, in the files that I sent you, Nick, there's one that says pictures.
Yeah.
And it is an illustration of what this thing looked like.
Oh, this is going to be awesome. Oh, okay.
So
it's
relatively
not as awesome as
basic.
I thought it was, but
relatively basic.
Yeah.
Again, this is the 60s.
Yeah, I had a very different picture in my mind.
Yeah, me too. Because if you look at my thumbnail, I may have catfished some people with my thumbnail.
Man, that's
but it's fine. It's fine.
How many robots were there?
So there's going to be multiple as the story picks off. Right now, there's only one so far.
So I'll tell you my little flight of fancy while I was listening to this. And as soon as this robot came out, I was like, I would have died in this situation. Because I was thinking, man, how crazy. I got a bow. I could maybe kill these aliens and take their ship. And, then I could prove that this happened to me. And like, maybe I kill the aliens, but then all of a sudden robots come out of the ship and I can't kill them with a bow and arrow. So I would have died.
Well, here's what's funny. This didn't even cross his mind.
No.
He had his bow with him. Now, do you shoot bow, Nick?
I've shot bows before, but I've never gone hunting with a bow. Just compound bows, not recurve or anything.
Okay. So compound still relatively, because you got to still, whatever the pullback rate is.
Yeah.
Whatever the weight is what you got to pull back.
Back then, did they?
No, they didn't have compounds. They would more than likely it was either a long bow or it could have been what was those little smaller ones called?
Short bow.
Like a recurve would be the huge one.
Right.
Then you got the long bow, and then there's one that's significantly smaller. I can't remember what those are called, but my guess is he probably either had like a long bow, which would have been relatively popular for hunting back then. That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
So he's up there and he's probably got his quiver, right? Some form of a quiver. So he's hanging on this branch. He took his belt, his military grade belt.
Yeah.
He unfastened it and hooked it around. Smart.
Yeah, that is smart. I wouldn't have thought of that either, to be honest.
I don't think that I would have either.
Yeah.
But it's smart because if you think about it, he's trying to hide from these beings, whatever they are. But you can't, like, your body is going to constantly be shaking if you're trying to stay in an area versus if you tie yourself down, the odds are you're going to shake less because you're exerting less energy to stay up there.
I think his reaction's normal. I'm starting to wonder what's wrong with me that I'm like, can I murder these aliens in the woods? Just answer. You didn't think about that either, did you?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay, yes. I got to go to a psychologist or something.
The first thing I thought was if I was in this situation, I would hide too.
Yeah.
Like I totally wouldn't give away my position.
Would you have run though?
Where?
Or would you have gone up a tree?
It's dark.
Just
I can't
away.
see. It was getting, because if you think about this story started in the morning,
right?
They hunted the entire day. He was going to his rendezvous point. It's late dusk and going into the nighttime. The other thing that we've not talked about is when they went on this trip, it was starting to get cold at nights.
Right.
So all he has on is his basic hunting equipment because typically at the rendezvous point,
Yeah.
they would have built the fire.
Right.
They would have warmed up there. He doesn't have any of that stuff with him, and he's up in a tree now.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough night for him.
Depending on how long he's up there, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is
But the
a rough
question
situation.
is, if they're aliens,
Yeah.
why couldn't they climb a tree? He climbed a tree.
Do they not know he's up there yet? Maybe.
Not in the story right now. They don't. They have no clue.
Well, they could get the robot to break the tree down, or like, there's a lot of options for these aliens.
Well, now they got a
If they
robot, so
find
yeah, sky's the limit.
Yeah, multiple robots you said might be coming out
Could be.
from that
Very
picture
well
I
could
saw.
be.
That's why I asked that. But
Yeah. So there's a lot going on with this story already, and we haven't even got to the fun parts.
what? I can't imagine how crazy this is going to get. This is wild already.
Yeah, it's already a wild story. That's why
Yeah.
I like it so much. It's an interesting story because
Can I tell you this is one of my favorites that you've told me so far?
because UFOs, Nick, you love you some UFO.
I
And
love
you
to
look at
be
my shirt.
scared.
Look at my shirt.
Aliens. It's like you knew this was
Aliens.
going to happen.
I know. It's like I knew. I swear I didn't tell myself about this before I got in here.
That's right.
Oh,
Did you
man.
let Jess listen to the whole thing or just that intro part?
just the opening when he was going into the forest with his buddies?
Oh man. When
She doesn't know anything else about the story.
I feel bad for her. She's got to listen to it right away. This is important stuff. Can you ask her when she listens to it if she ever had any thoughts about killing the aliens?
I'm going to tell you right now, probably not.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine.
She doesn't have that typical demeanor.
Okay.
She did ask me a question,
Yes.
and it was yesterday.
Mhm.
Shoot, what was it was such an interesting question. I can't say what I say because it's going to give away the answer.
Okay.
But apparently there's a thing on TikTok or one of them where the spouses ask their significant other how much they think about a certain period of time. And I forget, like the Renaissance or something.
No, it's the Roman Empire.
That's it. Roman Empire, right?
Yep. Yep.
She looks at me yesterday and she goes, "Hey, I got a question for you." I said, "Hit me." What? What you got? She goes, "How often do you think of the Roman Empire?" And I go, "That's maybe the dumbest question you've ever asked me in your entire life. I've never once thought of it, unless it's like in history class or like if I have to do something that someone asked me about the Roman, but it's not like I'm sitting there going, man, I'm playing this game. I wonder what happened in the Roman Empire. I've never once thought of that, ever."
What? You don't think about it all the time?
No.
Man, I'm thinking about Roman Empire constantly.
You are a freaking liar.
Oh, quite often though.
No way.
Yeah.
The Roman Empire.
Everything relates to the Roman Empire. When I'm on a road, Romans did that. When we have water coming to us in our homes, Romans did that.
First off, there's no way. That makes no logical sense. Unless you watch a movie about it, you hear a story about it, your mind just doesn't go. In the comments down below, ladies, ask your guy, or if you've already asked him, tell us in the comments what he said. I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah.
There's no way dudes do that.
I think a lot of men think about the Roman Empire once a day, at least.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. There's no way.
Man, Roman Empire's awesome.
There's no way. There's no way. The average male. First off,
if you get responses, you're going to be surprised, I think.
there's no way. Then I'm not male. I am some other Cynthian being like these UFOs, because the only time I've thought about, when she asked me that, I just stared at her. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is never is the answer. I've never once sat somewhere like at McDonald's getting a Big Mac and thought to myself, you know what? Roman Empire. That's never crossed my mind for an average.
I'm
doing-
surprised.
Never once.
Really? Did you ever watch the
Never
HBO
once.
series of Rome?
No. Do you know why?
Maybe that's why.
Because I don't care about the Roman Empire.
You should. It's important.
No, not nowadays. We've moved on. Listen, we got Betty Barney Hill. We got freaking infield poltergeist, moth bands. Why care about the Roman Empire now?
I really hope people respond to this because I'm curious.
I think that it makes for funny narratives, and you might just be interesting, Nick. I don't think the average male goes, Roman Empire, thought of it today. That just doesn't make logical sense.
I think they do. There must be other people who think about it too. I don't know how women found out about it though. That's the part I'm curious about. Who
wasn't from me because I've never once thought about it in my everyday life.
That's the third question I want to know. I want to know 3 questions in the comments. 1, who else would kill the aliens? 2,
Valid.
ask your men if they think about the Roman Empire.
Double valid.
3, who told you about this?
Besides, if it was TikTok,
right,
or if it was some other, I think that's a TikTok thing. I think is what she told me.
I think so too. But someone had to tell some woman about.
Wasn't
this.
me.
No,
I didn't know that was a thing.
You weren't even at the meeting, I guess.
Apparently, when my dad was explaining manhood to me, he didn't explain the importance of the Roman Empire, and I thought it was relatively boring.
Wow, man, Roman Empire is exciting. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens with that.
So
we'll see.
I don't know. I'd be curious to know though.
Me too.
Mom, tell me what Dad says. Dad, you're watching this. What's the answer? Tell Mom it's not true.
He's like, oh no, I forgot. I knew I forgot to tell him something. When I was giving him all his man skills, I left out the Roman Empire. Oh, that was on the other side of my notebook.
Man, I told him about the importance of a 10-millimeter wrench. I never once thought about the doggone Roman Empire when I did that. Dang it. Shucks.
Yeah, I don't know why this became popular all of a sudden. And
I don't know.
In all honesty, probably, I don't know. I think about it pretty often because I like studied it and I was interested in it. And
just randomly in your mind, it pops up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you know enough about it, there's a lot of things that happen in regular life that you can say, oh, this is related to the Roman Empire somehow.
I feel like you're making a joke out of this. There's no way you think about this.
No, I do. It's not constantly. I'd say like maybe once a day, or maybe
There's no way.
At least a couple times a week. I'm gonna commit to that.
I feel like it's me and every woman now that's like, well, how is this a thing?
Oh, you're on the good side then, I guess. I want to know who told on us.
Thanks for someone finally telling me after all these years. I know what truly makes me. I'm going to be a real man, Dad. Oh, man. That's crazy. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I thought it was just a joke.
I gotta look into the origins of that more because I'm curious. I've heard a lot of people saying it, but I was like, so what? I was like, when I heard that, I was like, so what? Everyone does that.
That's insane to me. I don't think about it like ever. From the time we learned about it in high school, this might be the second or third time I've thought about it just because it got mentioned.
Man, I guess it didn't catch your attention at all.
No, I was like, Roman Empire? Nah. Nah. Lame. Nah.
And that's blasphemy. But that's okay. You'll start thinking about it now. I'm fairly confident. So
these doggone TikTok trends giving everything away.
All the secrets. It's like Fight Club. You're not supposed to talk about the Roman Empire.
Valid. Well, Nick, our boy Don is up in this tree. Do you want to know what happens next?
Yep. Yeah. I think that they're not going to find him now. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, here's the thing that I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
This next event is going to be the one that starts a chain events of things to where the story goes absolutely bonkers.
It's not bonkers yet. I keep thinking we're at the bonkers, but
We haven't
still
even got
not.
to the crazy parts yet.
What?
The next part starts the crazy parts. I will
Okay.
tell you that much. The next
Okay.
part truly starts the crazy parts.
Well, I am chomping at the bit here. Let me get into the crazy parts.
Let's see what happens next.
We are the aliens that got Don.
Oh no, I wish I had a mask for this.
that's not Bert's laugh.
Listen, it had to be a two-parter. It was a long one. Don had
That's
a lot of
right.
stuff going on. He's up in a tree, for God's sakes. What do you want from us?
Yeah, and oh man, we left it at a cliffhanger because it gets real wild after this.
It gets really wild. Listen, when I was telling Nick it gets a little bit further, I was not kidding. This thing gets a little crazy.
It gets nutty cuckoo, let me tell you.
In which, if you know the story about, obviously, the Cisco Grove, did you know these extra things that we're going to be covering? That's what I'm curious about, because some of them I did not know.
Do you know more
until
than
I
we
watched
know?
on the White House. That is a good question,
Right. Can you add to this?
because I do a thorough amount of research, but I'd be curious if there's something I left out.
It's always a possibility.
That's smart. Also, you sons of guns. I'm still waiting for them doggone comments of the 3 questions. Don't pretend like you didn't hear that part either.
Yeah, you got to do
We
your
want the
homework.
3 questions comments. You better find out for us.
This is a demand.
But until
now.
we
It's
see-
become a demand.
Correct. But until we see you in the next one, goodbye.
Goodbye.